Here, I would like to take you through the process of creating your own fundamental frequency for your character, which is what brings them to life on the 40 story platform. And this is just creating the seed, it grows from here. So we have a character profile here. In this case, I already have the image picked out. It'll help me teach, but I would suggest you do this before you go finding a digital image. It's written that way for a reason. You will fill out the entire character profile before you take care of uh, finding your character as well, your digital representation. But the very, very, very first thing, and you'll see why here in a moment, that we should do is to find the fundamental frequency of our character. Now, we know our character pretty well. We can go through here and fill out the profile as suggested to the best of our ability. But what we really want to know about this character is, what makes him tick, and that's what we're going to find out here with these three questions. So the highest aspiration field, greatest motivation, and emotional response fields are all going to be filled in with a hexadecimal code, and we're going to get that hexadecimal code, and we're going to add them together, and that's going to produce a fourth hexadecimal code. Let me show you why. Scroll down. And this is the exercise that you're going to do to fill in those three fields. First of all, you're going to ask yourself, what is your character's highest aspiration or goal? And the reason we ask this is because RGB, red, green, blue, are the three primary colors of light that when get mixed, everything else, comes about as a result. And if you take apart an old TV, you can see these three light bulbs, and then they would mix to make the color that you see from a distance while watching the TV. Of course, we don't have TVs like this anymore. Now we use LEDs, but the same principle applies. Anyhow, there are eternal truths that live in color and in light, and we're leveraging the color theory basically, in order to make this system what it is. It is, with great evidence, we believe that humans think in color, which is why we are able to do this. And then, because color can be represented by hexadecimal code, which a computer can translate, then that gives us a crossover, a platform to go from the human psyche into a digital format, all in one short, concise way, through just asking three questions that ultimately get mapped back to the 7 arenas of human experience, which are represented by the light and represented by the rainbow and the colors of the rainbow. And that's what starts to dictate and help us understand the model. The red light is the slowest light. The violet light is the very high frequency light. So that violet is the external arena, the physical arena that connects to our real world, where everything is at 5G and higher, right? We just have a lot of frequencies bombarding our physical body constantly. But as that light travels through the 7 arenas, from the physical through the senses, it hits the emotions, it gets processed by our conscience, it gets written into our subconscious, our creative our arena, the sixth sense, where everything is, the acacia records, however you want to call it. That light passes through there and addresses, picks up things out of the ether and brings them into our reality. And then that light continues on into eternity, going through our spiritual beliefs about everything. And as that light continues on, it slows, but it never hits zero. And that's why it's eternal. And as a frequency slows down, if you can think about putting a picture on a high frequency between the places where the frequency goes up and down, it's a very small area. But as that frequency slows down, the picture gets bigger and bigger, because it can set on a much larger wavelength, slower frequency. That's how this model works. We attest to the fact that the light slows down as it takes us there. So actually, a spiritual profile, someone with a color that has a lot of red in it, and you'll see how that works here in a moment. Someone who's probably very purposeful and very sure and very confident and has a lot of these kind of slow frequency sort of characteristics about them. Nevertheless, that's just the way we use this. So the three questions we're going to ask is, first of all, what is your character's highest aspiration or goal? And we're asking ourselves this after we have really kind of taken the time to think about our character and understand our character and their profile and where they've been, where they're going, what they're going to be. Even if our character is somebody that's a superhero, even superheroes have a story arc that they go through and a process of transformation, making them a better superhero. But by setting them up as a superhero, we're able to cast the highest vision possible and really come up with some fantastical type of characters. Nevertheless, we think about that character and we think about their highest aspiration or their highest goal. Well, in this case, our character is Raptor here, and Raptor is just it's a digital image I got off of Unsplash, but she's actually starting to kind of grow on me because I'm getting to know her. I've done a few of these recordings here, and I ran her fundamental frequency and kind of get a sense of who she is. Well, we are going to do that right now, and this right here, FF0099, represents the answer to the first question in the way that I saw her. Her highest aspiration or goal. Well, she's basically here to save the world, and she's got a lot on her shoulders that she is responsible for. I cannot tell you why I chose the color I chose. You'll not be able to tell me, or else it would be a conscious thing. You'll choose a color based on just how it makes you feel, and you're going to get a sense of tension inside of you. It's that intuition, right? And that tension, as you study each color trying to figure out which one best answers the question, it's going to shift, and it's going to get tighter and looser, and eventually it's going to settle, and it'll settle around the color that you are most drawn to answer that question with. Okay, and so we did that and came back up here. Once we identified which color it was, I filled it in and did the same thing for the second question, which is, what is the greatest motivation? What is the motivation for this high aspiration, right? And I got that answer. And then what is the emotional response my character is going to experience? And I considered it, and I got that answer. So then what we do, you can scroll to the bottom to get to the Color Hexa link. It will take you to Color Hexa, and you take all three of those that you just typed in, and you type them in here or paste them with a plus mark in between them so that you can combine them, and click the find, and you will discover that this right here is the fundamental frequency of your character, which, as you notice, we put right here. That ultimately is going to be on your NFT as well, on your token, your POG, your 4D POG will hold that, and that will get tied to your NFT as well. So that is a very critical number there. It's your phygital number, from physical to digital. It's what creates the transformation. And of course, the digital NFT will have a serial number on its end. Combine those two, you have everything that you're building value into with regards to your character. Now, after you get that fundamental frequency on Color Hexa, you want to take a screenshot. On Mac, it's Command-Shift-4. PCs will have to figure it out on their own. And highlight and snap, because what this tells us, first of all, we'll get to be able to see this color. This tells me this is a nice sophisticated color. Having taken a look at her RGB, which is the spiritual the conscious and the emotional arenas here. We see that she is heavily favors her intuition and her belief systems, etc. Her emotional and conscious approaches are equal, so that just tends to speak to a stable, very controlled person, which a superhero could probably benefit from that. um, 47 though, this is out of 100, 47, so they're just under half, just under 50% emotional and conscious, which just tells me it's not someone who overthinks everything, but isn't, by any means um, uh, not able to think through problems. And this character is going to have her share of problems, but they're going to have to be big problems before they're really going to, affect her, because she's going to be able to solve the average everyday life problems. But that intuition, I think, is what makes her what she is. You can tell she's patriotic by the way she dresses, her color being sophisticated here, in the way that it is, this mauve kind of, Maybelline sort of color. She shows that there's depth to her, and that she is very intentional and very good at succeeding at what she does. So she'd be a fun character to grow into, and to see how she comes out in scuffle after scuffle. But she would carry the banner well, is my guess. Now take a second screenshot by just scrolling down a little further. And what this here tells you, and we'll talk more about it later, is what kind of fundamental frequency she is. It's a complementary frequency. So you see here AA quad 7, 7 quad A. And so this might be her mate. This might be a teammate. This might be somebody she rules the universe with. Hard to say, but this is who she would be yin and yang with. And it doesn't mean that she's going to go for an exact opposite of her, but sometimes exact opposites work well because they're balanced. And that's the key to all of this. Here's a triadic color, and this kind of does the same thing, goes across the spectrum in a balanced way across the color spectrum in 3 colors. And so we would see her color here in the center, and these are the type of characters and individuals that this would be a sophisticated, creative person. So I don't know, maybe an accomplished artist, or a popular singer, someone who really has taken their craft to a high level. This one would be someone who's pretty brainy, smart, and but also mellow, a scientist, maybe rocket scientist, somebody like that, somebody who's very kind of got their stuff together, and also well educated, etc. So all of these, as you start to, this is kind of how she responds emotionally. This is just what it looks like, the gradation of her going from happy to sad, from up to down, etc. A lot of different ways you can interpret these colors, and we use those those interpretations as we decide on how the character is going to show up in any particular scene. So once we've screenshotted those, we're able to then take them and upload them here in reverse order from the way that we screenshotted them, so that they will be in order on our screen. Once they have uploaded, we come down here and click submit. I am going to be able to do this. And we go back to 40 characters screen, and we see Raptor here still hanging out, but now we have a quick view of her color profile, and that just allows us to get a sense of who she is without knowing anything else. And the better you get tuned into that, I'm telling you, the more you're going to be able to see yourself and others, these colors in them, and how they break down and how they work. But I clicked view just in case I wanted to get a sense of, sorry, let's click edit. In case I want to get a sense of her entire profile, and of course go in and finish the profile. When you come down here to view, when you're in this screen, because you may have multiple characters, we only show you the name, the image, the fundamental frequency, and the analysis, because then your next character would start down here. When you click on edit, you'll be able to update, like you saw, all of the fields, and when you click on view, you'll just be able to view that particular character all in one screen. If you need to create a new 4D character, just click here. And so that's a quick rundown of how the 3 questions allow us to put together the fundamental frequency. If you want more, then I would read Mobius Key, A New Way Forward, which breaks down the entire 7 arenas. But stick around, hang out on my channels, keep watching, stay in the membership site, and we'll explain more and more as we go along. Anyhow, have fun building your 4D characters.